Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the JW Rant of the Week. I'm your host, Justin Worden, and since you're watching this, you have realized that we have gone vertical. Thank you so much to LinkedIn for finally following the other forms of social media and fully adopting the vertical ratio for videos. Yes, I called LinkedIn social media, but that's because I believe LinkedIn is a form of social media, but that's for another video. Here in Central Texas, it's still cold, but the ice is melting. So we were very fortunate and able to get out and see some customers today. And I wasn't going to do a video, especially without my mic on. So the cars might be a little loud, but I felt convicted to do so because during my visits today, a topic that is so popular, retaining employees, workforce development, something that I'm very fortunate to do a lot of work with ARMA, the Austin Regional Manufacturers Association, and other associations here in and around Central Texas. But the thing is, hold on, I'm slowing down as I walk across ice. I don't want to fall down. That'd be funny, right? That would make the video go viral on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. But what I'm getting back to is workforce development is such a hot topic. And it is all over the United States, not just Central Texas. There is a need for workers, specifically in manufacturing, where I spend most of my time working with Rocket Solutions. But I do work in other areas. I do real estate, finance, and there's employees needed there as well. So workforce development is a hot topic. It's that new buzzword that so many people are talking about. I'm very passionate about it. I love working with ARMA and EMAC and educating people by working with the trade schools, the high schools, and even the junior highs now, trying to make manufacturing sexy again. How do we recruit more of the younger generations into manufacturing? Because, our parents, my dad, your dad, a lot of our parents, our grandparents, they told us to stay away from manufacturing because those jobs are just being shipped overseas. But that's not the truth. Now, I don't want to talk about workforce development so much because the JW brand, the way I do things, I say oftentimes what other people want to say but don't say. I like to challenge the status quo. And a lot of the conversations I have had about workforce development is something I'm very passionate about. I like to talk about employee retention. I said it, employee retention. Now here in Central Texas, predominantly the Austin area, there's so many manufacturers coming around, employees, process engineers, they're jumping ship and going and chasing the next $1 an hour job. But I think there's so much more than that. I think a lot of the issues have to come with the workplace and the environment and the companies that these people are working for. It's not always about just getting the extra $1 or $2 an hour. I'm sure the money makes the decision easier, but there are so many other things that go into play. I have not once heard a single company talk about what they're doing to improve the workplace, what they're doing to make the environment more family oriented, what additional resources they're providing so that the next time an employee gets offered $1 more an hour, they don't just jump ship and go to that next job. See, I truly believe that if you invest in your employees, that cost will be much less than what it is to hire, train, rehire, and retrain when that employee leaves after only a few months. That is one of the most expensive things employees have to face, is when they invest so much. Oh, there it is, I almost slipped. They invest so much money into a new employee and then they just jump ship before their probation is even up. But it happens because people care about the workplace. They care about the environment. They want to be a part of a company that they can grow in. They want to see a future. They want to be a part of a company that's going to invest in their growth, not stunt their growth because they're afraid they're going to go somewhere else. That is something that this industry of manufacturing and advanced manufacturing really needs to focus on. And what I'd like to share is here in Austin with the SMTA, the Austin chapter, the reason we were able to grow that chapter and bring it back and revitalize it so quickly is because we decided that we weren't going to attract new members by only focusing on the technical education piece. That is very important. But we wanted to focus on growing people, giving them a place where they can come and feel comfortable, investing in the personal development of our members. That's why we always brought in these high-level personal development speakers. And when I talk to HR companies and they ask, why can we not retain? There's never enough employees. Well, you're always looking for employees because your turnover rate is so high. When's the last time you invested in their health, their fitness, their finances? Now this is getting into my background, personal finance. I had a wonderful conversation with González over at PNC Bank. And while we were on camera, we're talking about all the amazing benefits that PNC Bank offers all these businesses and manufacturers around Central Texas. Amazing resources. But you know what we talked about more so? The conversation naturally evolved into every single company's most valuable asset. You know what that is? The people that work for them. These people that are being forced to go and chase $1 or $2 an hour just to get ahead on their bills. Personal finance is the #1 reason for divorce. It's the #1 reason for stress, anxiety. Personal finance is the #1 reason for a lot of bad things that happen in our life. So why don't we invest more into it? As a big company, why don't you educate people on how to better budget their finances? Why don't you invest in personal development speakers to come in and help them with their health and fitness? HR companies, third-party HR companies, why don't we start focusing on providing resources more than just hiring and firing, insurance and benefits? I think the time is now. We can still continue throwing billions of government dollars at workforce development in trade schools and education. But why don't we start focusing on the personal development of our employees? Let's give them a place where they can grow, where they can prosper, where they can move up the chain, but also go home and educate their kids about things more than just how to build a circuit board. All right, there's my JW rant of the week. I got so much more coming on this. It's gonna be a fun year. We're going vertical, we're having fun. We're taking this thing all the way to the moon. Everybody, thank you so much. Over and out.